Okay, let's try and unpack this. Imagine just one single day where global conflicts really ignite, the highest courts are redefining power, and the future of tech is being shaped by these massive deals. That, believe it or not, was September 9th, 2025. So today, we're diving deep into a stack of sources we've pulled together, articles, research, expert takes to try and cut through some of the noise. Our mission for you listening is really to connect the dots and get you properly well-informed on some key events from that day. We're looking for those, surprising facts, the key insights that really stick without just drowning you in every single detail.
Yeah, what's really striking about that specific day, September 9th, is how clearly it showed the interconnectedness of everything. It's almost like a microcosm of these global shifts.
Right.
You had geopolitical flashpoints, significant economic recalibrations, huge corporate moves. It really gives you a sharp snapshot of a world navigating some profound changes. We've sifted through sources like Reuters, the AP, company reports, all that, to bring you the most significant developments. We want to help you understand not just what happened, but, the broader context and the ripple effects that, impact all of us.
Okay, so let's start with maybe the biggest geopolitical tremor, the one that sent immediate shockwaves through the Middle East. On September 9th, Israeli strikes hit Doha in Qatar. They targeted a residence linked to Hamas leaders. Israel called these figures key coordinators, said they acted on actionable intelligence and emphasized their operational roles.
Right.
But that wasn't all happening in isolation, was it? On the very same day, the IDF issued this unprecedented complete evacuation order for everyone in Gaza City.
Everyone, yeah.
Warning that staying in the city is extremely dangerous. They cited security threats and ongoing operations against Hamas.
And this was really an escalation on, multiple fronts. Qatari authorities, they immediately condemned that strike in Doha, called it a blatant violation of their sovereignty.
Understandably.
Yeah, and the key insight there is how quickly even these long-standing diplomatic roles, Qatar's been a crucial mediator for truce talks, hostage deals.
Crucial.
How quickly that can be undermined when military strategies expand like this. It instantly complicated an already incredibly fragile regional puzzle.
Right.
And then the Gaza evacuation order, that triggered widespread alarm, humanitarian groups, international calls for restraint.
Of course.
Because of the immense pressure on civilians, obviously, and the fears of just the catastrophic escalation in what was already a dire situation. So taken together, these actions really highlight the huge challenges in trying to maintain regional stability when military actions spill over like that. It makes any path to de-escalation much, much harder.
It really paints a picture of seriously heightened tensions. And speaking of heightened tensions, but shifting regions, we saw another pretty significant incident unfolding over Eastern Europe. Late on September 9th, going into the 10th, Poland reported shooting down multiple Russian drones. Drones that had violated its airspace during a large Russian strike on Ukraine. This isn't just a minor border thing, is it?
No, far from it. Poland's really beefed up its air defenses and coordinates very closely with NATO, especially after, previous incidents.
Right.
The key thing here, the insight, is that ever-present risk of escalation from these kinds of spillover events. So while EU and NATO officials voiced strong support for Poland, they were also urging caution.
A balancing act.
Exactly. It illustrates that tightrope the alliance walks, needing to project strength, protect its members, but without provoking a direct conflict. Moscow naturally denied any deliberate incursions, but the incident definitely reignited that whole intense debate about NATO's red lines.
Okay, so from military and security concerns, let's pivot to another kind of flashpoint.
Yeah.
This one driven by resources, regional ambition, water. On September 9th, Ethiopia formally launched its Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GER.
Ah, yes, the GER, Africa's largest hydroelectric dam. And its completion, its filling, has been a really long-standing point of contention with the downstream nations.
Egypt and Sudan especially.
Primarily Egypt and Sudan, who rely so heavily on the Nile's water. So Ethiopia's move, while obviously celebrated domestically, it predictably sparked these strong statements of concern from its neighbors.
Right.
The insight is pretty clear. Unilateral actions on shared resources like this inherently raise regional tensions. It led to renewed calls for African Union mediation. But, without actual binding water-sharing agreements, there's a very real risk of more disputes. It just underscores how resource control can become a major geopolitical lever.
Okay, so from global flashpoints, let's turn now to the legal battlegrounds in Washington. The Supreme Court had a really monumental day, sort of mirroring that struggle over authority and limits, but this time within the U.S. government itself. On September 9th, SCOTUS granted expedited review to President Trump's sweeping reciprocal tariffs. What exactly does reciprocal mean here?
Well, reciprocal in this context basically refers to a tit-for-tat strategy.
Yeah.
You impose tariffs directly in response to duties or trade barriers from other countries aiming for what's seen as a level playing field.
Okay.
Now, lower courts had already dealt defeats to the White House on these tariffs. They'd ruled that the law being used, the IEEPA,
The International Emergency Economic Powers Act.
that's the one, typically used for specific national security threats, the court said it was never meant as a, quote, blank check for such broad economic policy changes. But the Justice Department, appealing this, argued these duties are essential for national security, economic stability. The plaintiffs, those states, small businesses, they maintain that Congress, not the president, holds the constitutional power to levy tariffs.
So this is really bigger than just tariffs. It's about the scope of presidential power itself.
Precisely. The key insight here is how this case really tests the boundaries of executive power. It could significantly reshape presidential authority and trade policy moving forward. It's also a major test of the court's major questions doctrine.
Right, that idea that Congress needs to speak clearly on big issues.
Exactly. An increasingly influential tool the court uses to demand explicit congressional direction for policies that have vast economic or social impact. So the court's decision here, it's going to have huge implications for markets, manufacturers, trading partners, potentially even refunds on duties already paid. And it will definitely redefine how future administrations approach trade.
Okay, shifting gears again to the economy. September 9th brought some pretty critical data points. The Bureau of Labor Statistics released a significant revision. It indicated that 911,000 fewer jobs were added in the year through March than they'd previously reported. That's the largest revision since 2007. I mean, that's a huge number.
It truly is. And the insight from that revision, it basically strengthens the case for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates.
Because the job market wasn't as hot as they thought.
Right. It suggests the labor market might not have been quite as robust, raising questions about, well, about the true strength of household demand, corporate hiring plans, that sort of thing. But despite this, fairly sobering jobs data, Wall Street was painting a different picture entirely. On that same day, September 9th, major U.S. indexes were hovering near or even setting new records.
Okay, that is a fascinating contrast. What was driving the market optimism then, especially with that jobs revision hanging out there?
Well, mostly it seemed to be the market anticipating a rate cut in September. That was fueled by cooler producer price data coming in, plus just sustained enthusiasm for artificial intelligence.
AI. Always AI.
Always AI, and strong tech earnings. And interestingly, gold also marched to fresh records around the same time.
Okay, so safe haven buying.
Yeah, the insight there is that it reflects that safe haven demand. Hedging against policy uncertainty, the expectation of lower real yields if interest rates do drop. So what you're seeing is this complex mix. Investors kind of bracing for both potential opportunities in growth sectors like tech, but also hedging against future volatility. The market trying to make sense of conflicting signals, basically.
Right. A lot to process there. Okay, so beyond the big headlines of geopolitics and policy, September 9th also gave us this really compelling look at the future of technology, huge business deals, and even powerful social developments. First up, this massive merger plan was unveiled. Anglo-American and Tech, $53 billion, forming Anglo-Tech, set to be one of the world's biggest copper producers.
Yeah, and this consolidation trend in mining, it's directly driven by the global energy transition. Copper is just vital.
For everything, right? EVs, data centers.
Exactly. Everything. So the key insight is this isn't just about company share prices. It's fundamentally about shaping future economic power by controlling access to these critical resources. The deal will definitely face major antitrust reviews, political scrutiny, especially given copper's increasingly strategic role globally.
Makes sense.
And this whole theme, this idea of shaping future tech and economic power, it was really underscored by two huge AI infrastructure deals announced that same day.
Right. Okay, the first one, Nebius, based in Amsterdam, struck a $17.4 billion deal, potentially rising to $19.4 billion just to supply Microsoft with GPU capacity.
Graphics processing units.
Over 5 years, yeah. And then the Dutch chip equipment giant, ASML.
A company that makes the machines that make the chips.
The linchpin, exactly. They announced a massive $1.3 billion investment into Mistral AI's funding round. That made ASML the startup's largest shareholder.
Wow. So what are the big takeaways from those two deals happening on the same day? Well, several critical insights jump out. First, the cloud giants like Microsoft are just scrambling for AI compute power. They're blending their own in-house builds with these massive external contracts on an unprecedented scale.
Got it.
Second, that ASML investment really electrifies Europe's tech scene. It signals coordinated capital flowing into European AI, something Brussels has been pushing for years.
A push for tech sovereignty.
Exactly. It could spur more cross-border alliances, trying to build domestic AI champions. So together, these deals reflect what you could call supply chain geopolitics, where the control and origin of critical components, advanced AI, these become powerful tools in international influence and competition. It profoundly shapes future technological dependence.
Oh, okay, fascinating stuff. And finally, let's wrap up with what seems like a significant step forward on the social rights front. In a landmark ruling, also on September 9th, a Hong Kong judge recognized both members of a lesbian couple as legal parents of their son.
Born through reciprocal IVF.
Right. What's the significance there?
Well, it's a major step forward for family rights in Hong Kong, certainly. But the key insight extends beyond just that couple. It sets a potential precedent. It could inspire further legal and social reforms in the region and beyond. It got widespread praise from activists, naturally, but it also sparked a really important societal debate. It just showcases how legal decisions can sometimes be powerful catalysts for change, even in complex social landscapes.
No, as we've seen, September 9th was kind of a crucible, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Global politics, tech advancements, economic shifts, deep societal tensions, all converging. Is there a common thread you see connecting these, well, seemingly disparate events?
I think there is. It feels like the constant redefinition of power, whether that's presidential authority being tested in the courts, corporate influence over vital resources like copper or AI chips, or even the collective voice of people striving for social change like we saw in Hong Kong.
That makes sense.
And the events of just this one day powerfully illustrate how interconnected our world really is. How quickly one development, whether it's a drone strike or a court ruling or a merger, can ripple across continents and sectors. It really makes you ask yourself, are we entering an era where business as usual is just impossible, as basically every system tries to navigate profound, accelerating change all at the same time?
That is definitely a question worth pondering. What stands out to you listening about these interconnected stories? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the insights, maybe some surprising facts from September 9th, 2025. We really hope you feel a little more well-informed and maybe more ready to engage with all the world's complexities.